What is Kalonzo Musyoka's game plan for 2022? Or let me put it this way. What was Kalonzo Musyoka's game plan for 2022? Because last week, Kalonzo Musyoka contradicted himself almost 100 times. Last week alone. And Kalonzo Musyoka was contradicting himself because of his move of joining the Azimio la Umoja movement. For those who've been following the politics of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, he was the leader of One Kenya Alliance movement. And One Kenya Alliance movement had a very clear strategy on where they were headed to. One Kenya Alliance leadership believed that they had the ability and the capacity to create a third force. But Kalonzo Musyoka was really hurt when Musalia Mudavadi and Wetangula decided to leave. In fact, Kalonzo Musyoka is on record stating that he's still missing Moses Wetangula. And last week, Kalonzo Musyoka came to the reality that he's going to support Raila Odinga's bid for the presidency. Because a few days earlier, Kalonzo Musyoka had penned through his party an agreement to join the Azimio la Umoja movement. And before that, there were two NDCs, the Jubilee NDC and ODM NDC. Kalonzo Musyoka attended the Jubilee NDC. These two NDCs were organized the same day, but he never attended the ODM NDC. Then there were push, pull, and then there was that day in which Raila Odinga was unveiled as the Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate. On that day, the event was supposed to begin at 8 a.m. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka delayed, and that event ended up beginning at, I think 2. In fact, most people had believed that Kalonzo Musyoka had refused to sign the document. He made an appearance. And yesterday, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Gideon Moi visited Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka at his residence in Karen. Why do you think they made that trip? I did a comprehensive analysis about that particular visit by Gideon Moi and President Uhuru Kenyatta to Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And in this video, I want us to look at the intrigues, probably which will explain why Kalonzo Musyoka decided to delay on that particular day. So I want us to look at the intrigue about Kalonzo Musyoka's entry, or intrigues around Kalonzo Musyoka's entry into the Azimio la Umoja movement. But before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, I want you to take a second or two, click the subscribe button, so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue. Thank you guys, and I want to ask you just to do me a favor. Just give this particular video a thumbs up, drop your comment for those who can, and the best one is to share this video in your WhatsApp, share it on Twitter, and also on Facebook. Let me begin this video by asking you a question again. What was Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka's game plan for 2022? The game plan was simple: create a third force, become the presidential candidate, win a few members of parliament here and there, because if Kalonzo Musyoka was a presidential candidate on One Kenya, there was a chance that he was going to get or to win 1 or 2 governors from Ukambani. He was going to win majority of members of parliament. Then use those numbers to influence the rerun. So ideally, they wanted to force a rerun. But Mudavadi left, Wetangula left. So Kalonzo Musyoka remained there with the One Kenya Alliance leadership as a shell. And that's why you saw Kalonzo Musyoka desperately looking for Moses Kuria. You saw Kalonzo Musyoka desperately looking for Martha Karua. And the president was also on his neck. So Kalonzo Musyoka ended up signing for the Azimio la Umoja movement. So why is Kalonzo Musyoka really worried? What is causing confusion around Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka? 6 things. The first one is the Ukambani governors. The truth of the matter is that the Ukambani governors, embraced the Azimio la Umoja movement when Kalonzo Musyoka was still playing hard to get in One Kenya lands. So Raila Odinga accepted Ngilu, embraced Kivutha and the Machakos governor Alfred Mutua. So these guys have been the face of Azimio la Umoja movement in Ukambani. So Kalonzo Musyoka is also coming into Azimio, and with one condition, that I must be up above those guys. Do you think Raila Odinga can decide to sacrifice Charity Ngilu in Azimio because Kalonzo Musyoka is joining? So that's the dilemma Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is finding himself in. But someone like Alfred Mutua are not giving Kalonzo Musyoka breathing space. They are calling him out. But the truth of the matter is that Kalonzo Musyoka is justified because Charity Ngilu, if given a space which has already worked for within the Azimio la Umoja movement, will overshadow Kalonzo Musyoka in the Azimio la Umoja movement, because Raila Odinga will listen more, and I can assure you this, to Charity Ngilu than he would do to Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And that's why Kalonzo Musyoka was trying to target Ngilu by claiming that Ngilu didn't want her to sign. I want you to listen to Alfred Mutua very briefly.
Pongeza. Umeona mwangaza mahali sisi tulianzia nikiwa na Kibwana na Ngilu, umekuja Azimio. Sasa sisi maeneo yetu tunasonga kama kitu kimoja. Tumeona tayari viongozi wa Wiper hii weekend yote, Jumapili baada ya kwako kuingia Azimio Jumamosi, wamekaa huko, wameenda makanisa, wanatukana Mutua, wanatukana Ngilu, wanatukana Kibwana. Tumetukanwa sana jana baada ya Kalonzo kuingia Azimio Jumamosi. Tunakwambia Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, wacha kutuma watu wako waharibu hewa, inawachanganya wananchi. Jana umemshambulia Charity Ngilu, mama mjane ambaye alikuwa presidential candidate, mama, the most senior woman in Kenya politician. Wacha Ukambani, in Kenya, ukamshambulia huko kwa mkutano jana baada ya kuingia Azimio. Hiyo tabia ya kutukanana na kuomba kwa heshima, Kalonzo Musyoka, tuachane nayo. Sasa wewe kuja Azimio, tushikane mikono, tusonge pamoja, tuitishie Raila kura, watu wewe kitu kimoja, tuache hii siasa ndogo ndogo ya pesa nane.
So that tells you that the issue of Ukambani's governance and their roles within the Azimio la Umoja movement is something which is really worrying Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, and that's the major cause of his confusion. Number two is the running mate slot or the running mate equation. You know, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka was Raila Odinga's running mate in 2013 and 2017. Raila Odinga is going into 2022 election, but with the idea of having a running mate from the larger Mount Kenya region. Kalonzo Musyoka must also appeal to his people. And the only thing he can tell his people is that there's no way I would have made it to the presidency. Last time I was a running mate, so the only thing is I'm going to be Raila Odinga's running mate. And Kalonzo Musyoka is going to insist on this because his allies, talk of the Makwiny Senator, Mutula Kilonzo Jr., talk of Daniel Manzo, and very close allies of Kalonzo Musyoka are insisting that Kalonzo Musyoka must be Raila Odinga's running mate. That's the only condition for them, for Kalonzo Musyoka to join the Azimio la Umoja. If Kalonzo Musyoka will not be a running mate, what's going to happen is that some of his key allies are likely to join William Samoei Arap Ruto. And that's something which the president might not accept. And that's why I tend to think that when David Murathe talked of Mount Kenya region not really keen on the running mate, that's what he meant. Because mathematically, if Ruto will get a running mate from the Kikuyu nation, then Raila Odinga can get a running mate from Ukambani. Because those who are willing to vote for Raila Odinga in the larger Mount Kenya region will vote for him now, regardless of the running mate. So I tend to think that this running mate issue is another thing which is giving Kalonzo Musyoka running mate. He came late. Raila Odinga already had his lineup or something like that. I want you to listen to Mutula Kilonzo Jr., who is Kalonzo Musyoka's legal advisor.
Raila Odinga kwamba Kalonzo ndio atakuwa mgombea wa kiti cha urais. Lakini Kalonzo kwa sababu anapenda Kenya, anapenda nchi, akakubali kwamba Mheshimiwa Raila awe mgombea wa kiti cha urais. Kwa sababu mazungumzo bado yanaendelea. Sisi tumesema na tumemuuliza apatiwe nafasi awe naibu wa rais wa Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. For Kalonzo to have agreed to forfeit presidency for the third time, they must be counting for something. When we proposed Kalonzo Musyoka in 2007 to be a vice presidential candidate, all of us knew, including my late father, that Kalonzo Musyoka will take nothing less than a deputy president position. That is a position of wiper.
The third thing is the agreement. Kalonzo Musyoka took ODM from Raila through Manzo. Kalonzo Musyoka was with Raila Odinga in NASA. And he understands that politics is a game of betrayal. Raila Odinga promised to support him in 2022. When that time came, he was left with the papers. In fact, Kalonzo Musyoka had to display to Kenyans the agreement they had with Raila Odinga, which was under the custody of Professor Mutua. So his fears is that Raila Odinga made an agreement which was never honored. Again, if you were to make another agreement with Raila Odinga, will that agreement be honored? And that's why Kalonzo Musyoka was very categorical that he didn't know what was signed at the Bomas. Of course, later on he confused himself and came and claimed that whatever was signed at Bomas is only known to the three of them. But I listened to Kalonzo Musyoka very briefly the other day, and Kalonzo Musyoka was trying to explain that was it Bomas or Kasarani? At Kasarani, where Raila Odinga was being unveiled, according to Kalonzo, Junet Mohammed talked of Azimio la Umoja, while for them, they were talking of the Azimio One Kenya. So, legally, those are two different entities. But I think Kalonzo Musyoka is looking at an opportunity where the agreement is signed and will be binding. And that's why he's dealing directly with President Uhuru Kenyatta and not Raila Odinga. So that's the other thing Kalonzo Musyoka is dealing with. The fourth thing Kalonzo Musyoka is dealing with is what I call William Ruto's factor in Wiper. William Ruto managed to penetrate, to infiltrate One Kenya Alliance. Ford Kenya, he was able to infiltrate. Like when Ford Kenya won that Kabushai seat, the guy stated clearly that William Ruto helped him. William Ruto was able to penetrate ANC party through Cleophas Malala, and Malala delivered Mudavadi to Ruto. William Ruto was also trying to use this gentleman called the Makwiny senator, Mutula Kilonzo Jr., to deliver Kalonzo to Ruto. But Kalonzo failed to agree to those terms. So William Ruto was a huge factor in Wiper. Majority of Kalonzo Musyoka's key allies had been convinced that Ruto will give them a good deal. But the only challenge for them was that William Ruto had also made it very clear that he would only join but not as a running mate, because his running mate is going to come from the Kikuyu nation. So Kalonzo Musyoka was dealing with that Ruto factor in his team. And the last thing which is disturbing Kalonzo Musyoka is actually zoning. And that's why he has big issue with the company governors. Charity Ngilu, they have their own parties. Alfred Mutua has his own party. Professor Kabuta Gebwana, these guys have their own parties. There are all of them are running. And Kalonzo fears that if they were to go as Azimio, then people will easily embrace some of them. But how can he convince Raila? How can he convince Raila to disown Ngilu? How can he convince Raila to disown Alfred Mutua, people who started embracing him even when Kalonzo Musyoka was not willing. So those are the issues which are really disturbing Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and are giving him sleeping headache. Are giving him sleepless nights. Thank you, guys. Until tomorrow, I'll do an analysis about Moses Kuria statement and the response from Mutai Ngunyi. Although personally, if you ask me, I still believe that whatever Moses Kuria is doing is for achieving certain objectives. Tomorrow, William Ruto might decide to stop him from his campaigns. He will win the sympathy. Already, he has set up laws against Ruto by his statements. Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Today he talked of Raila Odinga's eyes. And the explanation is coming that those eyes were actually in prison. The cause was when Raila Odinga was in prison. So what message is Moses Kuria trying to drive? Where was Ruto at that time? Very interesting. But until that time, bye-bye.